Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. Hope everyone's had a good week. I've had a very, very busy week. God, where to even begin? Well, you know, I know last week Stevie was having a little health issue, or issues rather, and we kind of, I think, figured out that it's probably mostly like muscle, and he decided to join an athletic club this week. It's called Shamsol. We used to go to it a lot when we were younger, but you know, it's been fucking probably 12, 15 years since we've been, and he decided to get a membership so he could access the pool. I think we thought the pool would be the best thing for like decompression and muscle and shit, so it was cool. We ended up going there for a tour, I think the middle of the week. I don't even remember what day, but hit that shit for a tour. Really cool. Nice staff, good people. The club's had some improvements since the last time we've been there, but yeah, it was just nice to be out in an environment. I think what we've been realizing is that we've been working so fucking hard. We don't really have that regular life balance. And going to the club, like, there's a lot of successful people there. Obviously, it's a luxury. And it was funny to see how much people that work hard value actually wellness and I value wellness already, but I think it's not to state the obvious. It's important to stay healthy and well. But I think that you having a place to go that's not your house or not your neighborhood for a walk and being able to physically go somewhere, even the drive over, it was kind of relaxing. You know, you're headed out to a beautiful place to go and do some really relaxing, nice shit, whether it's the sauna or, even just hang out in the fucking pool area, whatever it is. It's nice to have that place to go. And I really saw it through the adult eyes. You know, the last time I was there, I'd probably under 15, maybe 15 years old. You know what I mean? And yeah, as a 32-year-old going, you see it through new eyes. You're like, oh shit, I get it now. Why the adults were probably pissed off we were running around and fucking terrorizing the place. But on that, no, it's also just such an important place to go to have. It's almost like an escape from your business. The fucking cell phone reception sucks out there. The Wi-Fi is good, but it gets choked once you get outside of the bistro clubhouse area. So it kind of forces you back into that time before the cell phone where you're just chilling and caught up in the moment. You're the most important thing I have to do right now is sit in this adult hot tub and do nothing, or the sauna, or go lift some weights, or run, or cycle, play tennis, pickleball. I didn't realize also, I knew pickleball was a growing, emerging sport, but more than half the courts there were probably converted to pickleball, which is funny because as a kid growing up, one of my buddy's parents, they were tennis pros, so they taught there, and we'd stay there often, which is a big reason we joined. But yeah, it's a tennis club. Even right outside the main clubhouse, it's just almost sunk tennis court where it looks like a mini little Roman Coliseum. You can watch people play, and it's probably where the best of or a tournament would happen. But yeah, it was interesting to see, and it was cool to go to, and it made me also kind of have a new perspective on wellness. And I've never been a gym guy. I don't like the gym, but I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But going to an athletic club or a tennis club like that, country club, yeah, there's something about it where you get a palpable sense that people are there for wellness, and people are friendly, and it's also good for business. I'll probably meet some new people just going there, and yeah, it was cool. So that's something we did earlier this week. On the creative front, I had a lot of fucking personal obligations this week that I had to go to. So the thing I focused the most on creatively was I updated some stuff on my IMDb and just went through just did some maintenance on that shit. What else did I do? Okay, so I got this new interface, this Tascam interface. I haven't used it yet because I've been so fucking busy, but in between getting that and planning to expand the podcast kind of shit and maybe do another pod with not only the roommates but other people and just bring more people in and just kind of see this thing blossom and grow. I did some work on just logo design and stuff, and to be honest, that's not my strong suit. Even with the Unscripted logo, I kind of just I just wanted to I didn't want to wait, so I picked out something that I thought was I don't know. It just fit what I was going for. I knew it was going to be talk. I'm here's a microphone. I know I want it to be called Unscripted. I knew the name long before I started the podcast. Unscripted just made sense to me because half the time, most of my life is spent writing something scripted. Even if there will be improv later on in the film, which I'm very open to and I actually think makes the movie better. My life is quite literally writing scripts. I'm primarily a screenwriter. That's my main focus. And as a writer, and even I think screenwriting is what I have my strong suit at, but I'm a writer. That's really what I identify with the most. And I don't like to label myself as one thing or any of that, but I love to write. That's my, I think my God-given gift is just writing. It's I just, I wouldn't call it effortless. I don't even want to go there. It's just what I heard Tarantino say once, that he was tapped on the shoulder by God to be like a writer. And like, whether you believe in that or not, that's besides the point. But I like the idea of it, because I think everybody's tapped in this life to be good at something. It's like a great athlete. Like, look, I wasn't tapped to be the fucking best running back in the league, or like, to be a fucking home run hitter. That's okay. But some dude or even woman, wherever, was tapped by God for that. And like, that's pretty cool, and like, whatever your spiritual background is or whatever, I think just like the idea of just thinking that you're born with something to some extent that you're just inherently good at, or like, it just makes sense to you. It's like a guy who works on cars. He sees a fucking engine and he doesn't see the engine. He sees the engine for the parts, It's like the forest for the fucking trees. Some people do math and they see the equation and it works for them on some Goodwill Hunting shit. Everybody has their thing, I think it's important to, lean into your strengths also, and just like know what you are good at or what you're passionate about, and like always follow that, and I think it's super important. Anyways, I kind of even forgot the fucking point of that, but been working on the podcast shit, expanding that, working on some art. Like I said, I'm not, that was what I was going for. I'm not the best at art, but I made it happen. I didn't want to wait. I picked the fucking right art to articulate what I thought Unscripted would be, and it's been working out so far. I know a lot of people do a picture. I never even thought of that. I'm like, well, fuck, like, I guess people just hear the voice, But anyways, besides the point, on the creative front this week, I did that. I did do a little bit of writing. Like, I've just really been thinking about this other, kind of low budge movie idea outside of like Slugger and shit. And yeah, that's something that's just been brewing. I feel like it's, funny. Art imitates life and life imitates art. And I feel like that movie, just even like, it's just funny. It's very on point to like just my life right now. And like, it's cool, very meta, very meta. What else did I do this week? So my cousin's, daughter, I guess my niece, right? My niece Marie, she had a, first birthday, and my cousin just remodeled his house. So it was super fucking late. It was like a housewarming / first birthday party. And oh man, it came out so good. It was really cool. I hadn't been to a family party in a minute. Not like I haven't been, but I don't know. I think the last thing we did was like maybe Mother's Day or something like that. So it was a little earlier in the year, and like having at his house, which he just, like I said, he just remodeled, and I'd seen most of the remodel because my mom's in real estate and still in the house, but actually going and seeing, like, he did the backyard, and like seeing this fucking backyard finished, it was so fucking dope. He had this great barbecue grill / bar, and like, I don't know, like, it was just cool to have like not just like a family, but also there was like, friends and stuff there at his house, and like in this vibe. It was pretty cool. And like, honestly, like, it was just a good time. Went there, had a little champagne. It was nice. Got to see, the aunts, the uncles, family, friends. It's also good, like going to those events is just another way to like connect and network and just like see familiar faces. And I saw a lot of faces I hadn't seen in a while, which was like really the theme of my week, which is funny. But yeah, so went there, hung out. I think they had like a ball game or something after, so we dipped. The party ended around like 8:30. But yeah, went home, fucking chilled, worked on a little pizza. Everybody wanted pizza, so like fucking whipped up some pies, and I feel like I'm giving you guys a play-by-play of my fucking week here. What else did I do? Okay, so yeah, like Friday was chill. Kind of just hung around the house. Everybody's a little lazy this week. It was the hottest week of the fucking year. Like, I think from Thursday on, even at my cousin's party, it had to have been 80. And it's just, we have like a late Indian summer here. And dude, it was wild. It was just so fucking hot on Friday and Thursday. And then on Saturday, I ended up going to a wedding. And dude, easily 90. Hot as fuck. Get there around, I don't know, I think it started at 1:30 or 2. It was a dope wedding. Honestly, like, they did it out this thing, it's Posse Grounds in Salinas. And like, it was super low key. And that's not to say it wasn't a nice wedding. It was super nice. But they didn't make it so it was just so like black tie affair. Let's just say that. You can kind of roll up and everybody's kind of like more country western themed, I'd say. And like, it was very Salinas, which, was cool. Kind of roll up and like, we got like a little like mini car show thing going on. They got the barbecue going. It was just a great vibe. And that was just to start it off. They had a nice fucking great open bar. But yeah, the ceremony was cool. It was really like, honestly, it was a very intimate and like sweet wedding on that note. Like you could tell like this was a wedding done out of like, it was fucking love, for sure. And like, I didn't know the bride and groom to be all too well. My mom actually went to high school with the mother of the groom, so that was our connection, and it was cool. I got to celebrate them and kind of just be there, and like ended up being great. Saw a lot of people. Actually saw some old friends too, which was like unexpected and really cool. And like, yeah, so the wedding itself, like I said, was very low key and it was very chill, and it was just super honest and authentic and like genuine. And that kind of goes into like a lot of like just the themes of my life right now. Like, I think we're also living in 2025 where people aren't really tripping about being like the most bougie or like the most like extra. And like, it maybe in their own way they were, but like, I certainly don't think so. I just thought it was just like a very grounded, honest, like what I imagine the modern day wedding could and maybe should be. A step up from the courthouse steps per se, right? Like, it wasn't just like, hey, like we're married, like let's do the thing. But like, yeah, they're a younger couple. I think they're in like their early 20s, 25, you know, whatever. This is my take on it. I don't know exactly their psychology behind it, but the wedding itself was nice. It was not understated, but it was chill. It was relaxed. I didn't feel pressure, and I feel like maybe they didn't either. I've been to some like real traditional weddings, especially like fucking Catholic weddings and shit, and like they're beautiful, they're great, they're amazing. It's like the movie wedding. But to some extent, I think that the pressure on like the bride and groom, like being in front of like maybe 200 or 300 people, like it's heavy. And maybe some people handle it better, but it was interesting. You know, it was interesting to see this wedding where like they were kind of running the show and like they really made it how they wanted it to be. And it was nice. You could really feel like the palpable energy between them, to say the least. And hats off. I believe their names are Rhett and Danielle. So hats off to you guys. Congrats. Thank you for having us. It was a very, very nice wedding. I had an amazing time. There was also like a local barbecue I've been meaning to try. I think they own this place, like the TNA Spreckles Cafe, but it's called Kleinfeld. And great people, got to meet them, and their food was incredible. And being a fellow foodie / possible restaurateur myself with the pizza biz, I told them when I'm up and operating fully legally, I'll swing them by a pie. And yeah, they did a great job. I hadn't tried it, and a lot of people have recommended it to me. And yeah, their spread was good. The dessert was good too. It was cool too, because this wedding, like, you know, they usually just do the cake. This wedding did like fucking 5 different variations of pie, 3 different cakes, like cheesecake. Like, if you really wanted dessert, there was no excuse not to eat. So I don't know. It was cool. They did a great job. Like I said, the open bar was popping, great champagne. That was pretty much my drink of choice these days. So like, yeah, I chilled on some champagne. Like I said, I saw some old friends that ended up coming over after, and we did fucking pizzas and just kicked it. And like, yeah, you know, it's funny. Like, there's been so many people coming back into my life, like in and out, like reconnection wise. And it's like, not in and out, but like now coming into my life. And like, I really give a lot to the pod. Like, the movie definitely was like the bat signal of fucking Against the Clouds in the Night. Like, everybody saw it and was like, oh damn, like he's back, you know? But the podcast is like a way for me to check in like weekly, and new people are discovering it. And even like old friends are, you know, I consider them like not new people, but people that like I haven't talked to in a while are rediscovering me as a person. And it's been interesting to see how like that's transcended just even into my real life, or just like with, you know, whoever, the people that I'm talking to in my life. And like, it's cool. I feel like, yeah, this week was just very serendipitous. It was a strange week. I'll tell you what, Saturday was a strange day, but in like a great way. And anyways, yeah, it's been like the theme of my life is like just the unexpected and just like welcoming it and kind of like letting life just happen, which is like not easy to do. And I feel like you get to a point in your life too, where you got to kind of just like roll with the punches and just, you can't change what you can't change. I know I said that last week, but that's really just life. Like, you know, you got to just kind of like let things fucking play out and like fall as they may. And like, that's where I'm at right now. I'm just kind of trying to see like I said, with even the podcast, let's do 100 episodes and see where this thing lands. You know, I'm on 30. I wanted to get fucking balloons and have like a nice 3-0 popping, but I won't lie. Everybody else in the house is sick. I think I'm getting it too. And like, I've been just fucking exhausted. I had a late night on Saturday, you know. It's funny. I went to the fucking wedding, drank champagne, saw one of my old friends, and then she ended up coming over with her brother after. We did pizzas, and they stayed late. It was like her cousin's wedding, so like it went. They had an obligation to obviously stay later. I said, I didn't really know the bride and groom. I was there for my friend, my mom's friend from high school, fucking Leah, and she's sweet as fuck. She's the nicest lady ever. But I was like, around 8:30, or not even 8:30, whenever it was like supposed to be over, I was like, yo, like I'm good to go, you know. And then my friend said she wanted to come over with like, you know, her brother, and like I ended up saying like, sure, like, yeah, we'll run to the store and get the shit. And they ended up showing up a little later, but like it was cool, and like it ended up just turning into a late night, which was great, and like the reconnection was fun and super cool. It just I I felt that on Sunday morning. I was just tired as fuck. But I think it's a combination of also going to 2 parties in 1 week. Because when you go to 2 parties and there's like both parties had kids, both parties had at least like 50 plus people. The wedding, probably 100 plus people, right? Dude, it's that just people are back in school with the kids and shit, and people are traveling, whatever. Dude, the sickness is about. So like maybe I'm coming down with something, or maybe my energy is just like a little like low. But honestly, I usually feel pretty fucking good. Like I'm not like mentally unclear. I feel fine on that note. But like, yeah, like the physical, like, ugh, like my brother and his girlfriend, and I know it sounds like they got the most medical problems ever. They were just at doctors on duty trying to get antibiotics. I think they got them, but yeah, I might be taking a trip there too. I'm just like, I'm kind of feeling it today, like for sure. And like, I hope it's not affecting the pod. I've just been fucking, yeah, you never know when you get sick. And like, I don't get sick often. Like I think for the last 3 years, like I could tell you, aside from COVID, I think I got it twice. Yeah, maybe one time I was like actually sick where I had to get antibiotics. But other than that, and that was like earlier this year, way earlier this year, probably January. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, just today I'm feeling a little funny, and like I think it's probably obvious that it's a sickness. I remember too, forgot to say this, Thursday I had to go out to a pot farm to see this. This lender lent this guy money on a property, right? It's like $2.5 million. And I had to go for like a real estate assessment thing. It's another thing I do. And I went there to like kind of value the property, and like the guy clearly like he tried to tell us it was compliant. The shit was far from fucking compliant. I don't know if you know anything about pot business, but like every plant needs to be tagged with this thing called a metric tag. It's just like the system they use to track it. There is no tags. You know, he told us a lot of stuff that probably wasn't true. And it's just funny, you know, when someone takes out a loan that fat and then they just don't pay, and like the lender comes to assess the thing and be like, hey, because we're going to list this thing. And he literally right after the meeting, he's like, do you guys have any questions? We all looked at each other. I'm like, I have no questions. I already knew the answer. Next call is just literally him being like, hey, so what do you think? He's like, I didn't see any of this or that. We all knew. It was so obvious. And when somebody's like lying to your face or bullshitting, it's hilarious because you just go, okay, man, yeah, that sounds okay. You know, this guy was clearly just, I call it a black op. This was not a fucking legit marijuana operation. It was funny to see because like, I can't believe they get away with it. Like, you know, it's pretty tight regulations to grow cannabis in California, and seeing some of these guys just go rogue. And like, he told us the county was there 2 days before. I'm like, the county hasn't been here in 2 fucking years, brother. Like, whatever's going on here, I don't think it's legal. So I felt bad for the lender because, you know, he's a hard money lender, and that means like he basically lends the money himself. It's all legal, obviously. And yeah, just, you know, we're going to list it. Hopefully he gets his money back, but it's a strange business, the California cannabis real estate business, because you have to find the right property. You have to have it, at least in Monterey County. And this is such a fucking side tangent, but you know, like if you have a greenhouse on your property, you can't just build them. It has to be grandfathered in. And way back in the day, there was a lot of Japanese flower farmers in Monterey County area, and they bought these very nice large farms out in like kind of the rural area of Salinas Valley. And because they had these flower greenhouses that use a very old school system, and some of the farmers still use it, they had to grandfather in any new greenhouses. So there's some mega complexes out there. There were some big companies like Harborside. I think they shut down, but they had a huge like mega pot farm. And you can see these things glowing. Like I used to live out like on like the cuts of Salinas in the mountains of the Santa Lucia mountain range. And I could see you'd see them during like, especially towards the end of the year when they stopped growing, like, and they need supplemental light. These things would glow and they look like little space stations. And if you're on a pot farm, even it's loud. There's so much fans and electrical hum, and it's a weird environment, you know, it's strange, but I digress. Yeah. If you want to build a fucking greenhouse, it has to be grandfathered in. And so like a lot of these people will like tear it down to like one stud and then rebuild it from there. And or they'll get the county to approve it and say like, hey, because there was an existing structure, you can do it. But anyways, besides the point, this guy was full of fucking shit. We all knew it, and yeah, we're gonna get that thing listed for him eventually here, and then fucking see what happens as far as the outcome. I think he'll get his money back, but you never know. It's just always shitty when somebody fucks someone over like that. So once again, here to save the day with the fucking gang. That was something else we did though, and it was just, you know, it's always strange going out to one of those things. It's a very weird business, and we've, you know, because it's in our area, it's something that, you know, it's a commercial type land, and we've gotten kind of just through people that were like lifelong residents have owned these properties, or they bought them when they were pretty much valueless in comparison to what they are now, because Some of these farms were like, in the 600,000-700,000 range. You could pick them up 20 years ago, and now they're in the fucking multi-million range. So it's fucking crazy. But anyways, that was a little something else I did this week. Fuck yeah, it was a long week. Like I said, the wedding was great. The birthday party was great. I did get a chance to watch some really fucking good movies this week. Particularly, and one I want to talk about for sure is F1. Fucking A, dude. I love Top Gun Maverick. I've said it many times on here. I thought it was probably one of the better modern blockbusters. It hit all the notes, dude. It was like a perfect guitar solo. It just shredded. It was great. And I can't say enough good about, obviously, Tom Cruise. He is it's funny, I was watching Jack Reacher. I've never seen it. I started watching it last night, and it was just so fucking good. And I just I can't believe, once again, this motherfucker, he gets into a movie. He's a different character. He plays it well. And it's just, he's a hit machine, dude. You could find... It would be easier to make a list of Tom Cruise's worst movies than his best. Let's just say that. And it would be probably a pretty fucking short list. Besides the point, Top Gun Maverick, I loved. I thought Joseph Kosinski, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He nailed it. A lot of people think Top Gun Maverick's cheesy, or they think it falls apart when he and Tom Cruise and Miles Teller crash. They think it jumped the shark. It was unrealistic. You know what? Maybe. But I fucking bought it. And I got swept up in the emotions, and I liked it. And, I also saw it with my mom, and Top Gun's one of those movies that it's one of the first movies I remember watching. So there was some sentimental value of seeing a movie that I grew up watching and had fond memories of, and then seeing the next one come out 30 fucking years later. It's a little crazy, and let alone getting to see it with my mom. It was really cool. But yeah, Top Gun Maverick was incredible. The actual cinematography, the way the movie was done, the story, it was very well articulated for the audience. It hit all the emotional beats. I don't know what happened with that song with Lady Gaga, that Hold My Hand, but dude, highly slept on, fucking incredible songs. He performed it at the Oscars, which, I don't know, the viewership was down. Maybe it just didn't get the mass appeal, but the movie made a fuck ton of money. Everyone loved it for the most part. And yeah, it was just a true, it reminded me of late 90s, 2000s blockbuster where it was just, it was an event. It wasn't just the movie came out and people were like, okay, cool. It felt like more than that. And I think F1 maybe a little mismarketed, because I saw it didn't make the same amount of money, which I don't care about that so much. Still made $600 million off a $180 budget. The return's there. It warranted the movie to be made. But dude, they all teamed up again. It was Kosinski directing, Claudio Miranda as the DP, which he's fucking insane. His work on Maverick was insane. All the interior cockpit shots. It's just really, really incredible work. They don't have to go this hard. They do it for us. And fuck, man, Claudio Miranda, he's good. He's really good. And he did the same thing with F1. He got you into the cockpit of the F1 vehicle, and he made you feel like you were there. The racing scenes were insane. And to some extent, I would say F1 is a standalone film. The script, it was Aaron Kruger. I'm not super familiar with his work, but he is a hit writer. Really good script. The emotional beats were there. It really, it just paid off in the last, 15 or 20 minutes. The emotional hammer when they drop it was fucking good, man. It was really good. And I don't know, when you see a movie that just does, I call it doing the trick. It did it. It made you feel that feeling where it's wow, that's I watched the movie to get to this scene. And I don't know, that's a blockbuster. That's a real fucking movie. That's an action movie, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's a drama action. Not quite a thriller. There's some thriller elements, but this team of guys, they fuck shit up. They're really good. And also, I'm leaving out one of the most important elements, Hans Zimmer with his score. He also did the score for Maverick, but dude, the guy doesn't miss. It's fucking crazy. What a great career that man's had. But you can tell that he just gets it. Like I said earlier, some people see the engine and they see the parts, not the engine. This guy sees the fucking piano, and he sees the melodies. He sees it. It's very fucking good. F1 was just I don't even know what to call it. I haven't really seen a movie like that. I know there's some I was talking about Tom Cruise, Days of Thunder or something, but no, this was its own thing. And if I had to compare it to anything, I'd compare it to Maverick. You got the same team, same producers, and director, DP, composer, maybe a different writer, but they really nailed it. And Brad Pitt also on that note, Brad's played a lot of characters, and some characters I'm that just makes sense. This is one of those characters I'm this just fucking makes sense. It almost felt like this was the most Brad Pitt's ever been. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I felt his character, for his age and the Brad Pitt that I imagine Brad Pitt is now, Oh, dude. Yeah, his character was really good. The dialogue was good. Javier Bardem, his character was excellent. The relationship and rapport that he had with Brad Pitt's character in the film was on point, dude. It was really good. And like I connected with the movie. I think everyone that watched it, also, like, this is another thing. I watched it with Stevie and Kristen. You're watching a movie and you're just kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't want to be on my phone. I don't give a fuck about anything else but watching this movie right now. And like, not all movies do that, and especially not in the modern day. And for a movie to draw you in that, like, it was so enticing, so inviting, so gripping, and so like, it just had that X factor. It's the inexplicable X factor combined with the suspension of disbelief, combined with just good, honest storytelling. Here's the deal. These guys have everything. They're fully fucking resourced. They don't need any extra dollars. Like, if they want it, they're going to fucking get it. They're not going to fuck this up. And they're doing it on the biggest scale, and they nailed it. And I don't know. That's what I aspire to do, is to get to that point, dude. Like, when you have you got the keys of the fucking kingdom, it's on you to fuck it up. And these guys know it. And they're swinging and they're fucking hitting it out of the park. There's no bunts. There's no fucking doubles, no trips. This is fucking home run filmmaking. And I highly respect it. It's not easy to do. And yeah, I think Joseph Kosinski, like, he is a director to watch. Like, if you don't know him, get to fucking know him. I think the other movie he did before this with Tom Cruise was Oblivion. Obviously, they connected on some level there. You know, I just was watching Jack Reacher last night, and Tom Cruise also must have connected with Christopher McQuarrie, the director of the new Mission Impossibles. He is also the director of Jack Reacher, you know. And on that note, I know Tom is not in F1, but I think Kosinski is getting, you know, A-list actors, because, you know, Tom Cruise probably gave him the green light and said, hey, Brad, this guy's a fucking genius. You got to work with him. And it's not just Kosinski alone. His team, everybody, Claudio Miranda, the screenwriters. You know, I don't want to just make it sound like the director is the king, but like, he's got a vision, and like, he's delivering, and like, I just don't think he's talked about enough. Maybe he is, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like, you know, for somebody who's making such big fucking IP, or not even necessarily big IP, Maverick's big, but like, or Top Gun rather, but F1, you know, the IP, sure, it's big. They obviously integrated some of the real life, like real world F1 shit into it, but yeah, you know, as a whole, the movie is just fucking dope. And I think if you haven't seen it, like, I bought it, you know, buy F1. Don't wait, you know, it was worth the money. I don't usually like say every movie, like, go purchase it, but like, and I'm not fucking, no one's paying me to sell it. F1 was dope. Buy it, watch it. You know, I even talked to this kid who was over here the other night. He told me he saw it 3 times, this 19-year-old fucking kid, 3 times in theaters. Who sees a movie? It also made me feel good to know 19-year-olds are going and seeing a movie 3 times in theaters, because they always say the theaters are dying. Like, I don't know. You got the fucking next generation going and seeing a flick 3 times in a row. It reminds me of when I was young and I went and saw like Dark Knight or some shit, or Harry P, like one of the, you know, big ones a couple times in theaters. It's just, you know, people want the experience. That shit never changes. Anyways, F1, fucking awesome. The next movie I'm going to talk about is definitely not F1 in terms of scale and budget, but it was a really good movie. And I was recommended this movie by my buddy Anthony. He said he watched it and he's like, hey, like, you should really see this one. And it's called Sacramento. I'd read some press on it when it came out. I think it did Sundance premiere earlier this year. Yeah, so the movie stars Cera, Michael Angarano, or I got it written down. Hold on. I don't want to fuck this guy's name up. Michael Angarano, right? Michael Angarano, writer, director, and co-stars Cera as the other star, Kristen Stewart, and then I guess this is Michael Angarano's Michael Angarano's wife, Maya Erskine. I had to write it down fucking phonically because her name's hard to pronounce, but I knew Maya actually. She's in like a very early scene in the movie. I knew her from, I think it's Plus One, that movie with Dennis Quaid's son, I think Jack Quaid. Anyways, I digress. The movie was really good. It's a road movie. It's a movie kind of about a lot of things, but it kind of starts out and it's like this dude just at a lake, you know, and he sees a girl across the way and they like wave and then they end up fucking meeting and hooking up. And it cuts to like 1 year later and this dude is kind of like, it's the same actor from the beginning, the Michael, we'll call Michael A, so don't fuck his name up, but he's kind of at like one of those like, I don't know, grieving kind of meetings, and basically the lady tells him like, you need to fucking stop coming to these, like your dad's died and it's unacceptable. So sets the tone. 1 year later, he had this nice romantic kind of like cold open, and now it's this dude's dad's fucking dead and he's hanging out at these, you know, grief fucking things. And then it kind of cuts to like him. The lady tells him like, you need to go home. And then she's like, do you have anyone? And it cuts to Michael Cera and Kristen Stewart. And they're like, she's obviously very pregnant, Kristen Stewart. And Michael Cera is kind of like, you can tell his character is going through the anxiety about having a kid. Like he accidentally breaks the crib. And it's like kind of like a weird scene or whatever, but it kind of sets the tone that he's going through his own thing. And his buddy, whose dad died, is obviously going through his own thing. And, you know, the movie was a little darker than I thought it was going to be. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it was very real, very authentic, very grounded. Also, this Michael Angarano, god damn, Michael Angarano. All right, I got it. He was the writer-director, and I think this is a very personal film for him, and I think that he chose to write and direct it and produce it because it was what meant, obviously it meant the story meant the most to him. And like I said, in comparison to the movie like F1, this was like probably a very low budge. He had some friends or like actors that he trusted be in it, including his wife, Kristen Stewart, Michael Cera. They did it because they wanted to do this movie. And anyways, the two characters end up meeting, and the guy kind of lies that he's got his dad's ashes, and then he goes spread them in Sacramento because he wants Michael Cera and him to go on like a road trip. I think he also kind of notices that Michael Cera's character is also going through something else because he sees the crib out in the alleyway when he's visiting his house to pick him up. It kind of surprises him. And I think he's like, oh shit, he's having a kid. Well, on the road trip, they kind of like get in fights and they go out with some chicks. And it's I don't want to give you all the beats, but like they take this trip and spoiler alert, towards the end, it kind of turns out that his friend that picks up Michael Cera is also, he had a kid with the girl that he saw in the beginning of the movie. And it's weird. Like, I don't know, the movie's kind of about like being a father. It's kind of about just like the future, uncertainty, grief, kind of coming into your own. It was just a very different type of movie. It was quirky. I know Anthony referred to it as Juno-esque. I get what he's going for. Definitely indie, definitely quirky, definitely not traditional, something that's not going to get made by a studio anymore. Definitely not. But it was a festival film, and I think that was important to note because those type of movies, like they either like are really popular during the festival and they fizzle, or they gain some legs and people start seeing them out in the world. And when these movies do get out there, they're important because they're kind of the movies about life. Like F1, like as fucking dope as it is, and there's like definitely relatable life shit in there. We know that we're not F1 drivers. Most of us are never going to be in the pit crew. Most of us are never going to be fucking the, team track leader guy on the headset. It's just life, like but that's what makes it fun, is a fantasy to some extent. Like, let's look at that through the, how do you say that? Vicarious nature. Sacramento felt like it could happen to you. And, like there's an emotional beat, or not emotional beat, but there's a peak, right? I mentioned the emotional hammer drops, even in F1. And when it drops in this movie, like, dude, it had me tearing up. I was like, fuck, like this movie, like I just didn't expect it to do that to me. And you know what? It ended up being a really like, it's a sweet flick, and also the California scenery, seeing them drive up, like they drive up the 5 mostly, I believe, and kind of LA to Sac. And like, it's just familiar. I've driven it a million times. And like, yeah, it's also good to see someone like Michael Cera back up on the screen. You don't see him that often anymore. I know he's been doing a lot of Broadway. I saw him in some real low budget fucking Christmas movie that was like a couple kids from the East Coast made, and it was, I can't remember the name, something Miller's Point. And yeah, he played like a cop or something in that, but like, yeah, you don't see him all the time, and seeing him back out, and he's good. I've always liked Michael Cera. I know some people are like, fuck Michael Cera. No, Michael Cera's cool, dude. He's a good actor, not just super bad. He's had some interesting work, but yeah, I liked it. I think Michael Angarano is someone to watch as a director. I also think it's cool that he went out and made this movie. I'm a writer-director myself, and he also acted in it, which is something I'd like to do too. But like, when you're doing that and putting yourself in the movie, writing it, directing it, you are way more invested in this project than any gig you're getting. And I'm not saying you can't do good work for other people. I think a lot of people are great at just doing that. And not everyone's trying to do that. But if you are taking the initiative to be a writer, director, actor, there's a chance that you care a lot about this movie and you want it to be good. And like, there was a palpable sense that he really he nailed it. His character he's the lovable asshole, he's a lovable kind of fuck up vibe, that friend that even Michael Cera in the beginning of the movie is like, I don't want to be friends with him anymore. I'm trying to phase him out. Yeah. Like, I think everybody's got that person in their life. Sure. But he nailed it. He really played that guy that you're like, God, I think I've outgrown him, or I'm not sure about him anymore. And like, that happens, it's brutal, but that's life. And yeah, it was just really well done. Honestly, like I said, it hit me way different than I thought it would be. Kristen Stewart and Maya Erskine's roles were a little bit more minor. Definitely Kirsten's in comparison to Maya's, but they were still impactful. They mattered. it was a movie about friendship and brotherhood and kind of like honest about how like the older you get, like, you know, some people stay in your life and some people go away, and like especially with friendships, like particularly and especially male friendships, like yeah, you know, sometimes you just stop talking to people. It's like that scene in The Sandlot. Like one time we went out to play baseball, one last time we didn't know it was the last time. It's like, dude, there's a lot of people like you hang out with them and it's the last time, you just don't even know it. And that's like kind of like a brutal reality of life, but it's also part of growing up, man. Like the journey, and we all have chapters of life and we're all going through that shit. And like, yeah, you know, that's on a more philosophical note. And like this movie got me to think, I'll say that too. And it got me to really feel, and like, that's cool. That's why we watch them. Like you want to watch, and you don't want every movie to make you fucking cry. You don't want to be on like a tearjerker bender. But, you know, I even related back to the wedding, like during the vows, like they were fucking tearjerkers. And I think it was the same thing. That sense of like raw, grounded honesty in life is like really like, it's priceless. And even when a movie nails it and gets it that good, it makes you feel something. It's just that fucking feeling, you know, and it's the X factor, and, you know, life has an X factor, and it's that magic. So I don't know. Yeah. Sacramento, definitely a movie to watch. Sweet indie type of movie that I like to make. And like, yeah, you know, if you haven't seen it, go see it. Same with F1. If you haven't seen it, like, fuck, F1 was great. You know, I'm gonna watch some other bangers this week and fucking get back. I know this one wasn't exactly film heavy, but like I said, like my creativeness this week was mostly towards the podcasting and some like graphic design and some other shit. But I'm going to get fucking back on the grind this week. Hopefully I'm not that fucking sick. I'm definitely feeling a little low energy. Hopefully, like I said, it doesn't affect the pod, but like, that's just me being 100 with you. Yeah. But anyways, guys, I think that's all I got to say this week. It was a long week. It was a good week. It was a fun week. The universe is fucking crazy, and you know, you never know what's going to happen. But anyways, hopefully you all having a fucking good time. Summer's coming to an end, about to be in spooky season. I'm excited. We'll talk some horror movies, Halloween shit here very soon. I know we got all of September to get through, but I'm excited to talk about it either way. Anyways, guys, this is another episode of Unscripted. I'm Devin Thomas. I'll talk to you all next week.